All the members, welcome to our today's VCM. Today's topic is reducing social inequalities. Today's topic is very important for all. So for today's topic, our speaker is Professor Sonika Dixit. Welcome, Professor Sonika Dixit.
Thank you.
Professor Sonika Dixit has done her master's in management from Lucknow University. She specializes in human resources management. She started her academic career from Lucknow Engineering College and has 22 years of management teaching experience. During her teaching span of 22 years, she has associated with a number of reputed institutes like Lucknow University, Hyderabad, and MS Ramaiah Institute of Management. Her PhD is in Human Resource Management. She has presented papers in a number of national and international conferences and published a number of research articles in national and international journals. Currently, she is head of the Department of Persons Management, IFMI College. So welcome, ma'am. With a short introduction, I'll request ma'am to take over the session. Please, ma'am.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So let me tell you, the institute is IFIM, Institute of Financial and International Management, right? And it is located in Electronic City. And I'm head of the department of MBA IFIM College. I'm also the management chairperson for IFIM College. Now, thank you for providing this platform. And the title of the webinar that was given to me was Reducing Social Inequality. Now, when this title was given to me, I felt that social inequality is one issue, one aspect, which must have been discussed at length at various platforms. No doubt, the research on any particular aspect goes unabated, and there may be many other new things. But then I decided, why not go to, since I'm a management faculty, I emphasize, I study, I teach management, I gave it a different perspective. And this perspective I gave, we always are speaking about reducing social inequality or inequality at workplace. Have we ever pondered that sometimes inequality is part and parcel, and to that extent cannot be considered as something always having an adverse impact? And that is why the topic that I chose for the webinar was leadership and inequality. So now I chose this topic because many of you, and I chose this topic, many students who may not have studied leadership at length. Everyone knows the term leadership, try to understand it in simple terms may not be there. So just that fair quality can be presented in a platform. And that is how I chose this topic. So this is the reason that I chose this particular topic. And let me start with my presentation. Is the presentation visible? Okay, I'll just make it full screen. Okay. Now, may I know if I can know the participant, anyone who's from the management background? No. Okay. So I think this will definitely serve my purpose. Now, when we are speaking about leadership and inequality, let me first tell you, what is leadership? Now, when we speak about leadership, we are speaking about leadership. The first thing that comes in our mind is influence. The leader influences people. He may be holding a position in an organization. he may not be holding a position in an organization. Suppose if he's holding a position in an organization, he may be a manager, but he may be a leader, good leader, or may not be a good leader. So why would I say this? A manager, you will think, okay, manager is bound to be a good leader. No. At times, manager may not be a good leader. Now, manager is one individual who has been hired to carry out the day-to-day operations of the organization, and he's doing his job perfectly. But how much the people trust him in terms of discussing beyond the day-to-day affairs, how much they can go to him to discuss certain problems that they are facing. That now, when the individuals approach him for these problems, for their concerns, for their queries, he becomes a true leader. That means he has followers. And it's not that he has to call people and say, become my follower, or I want to be an effective leader. No, he has been able to influence people. So how exactly are we to distinguish leader from the follower? Leadership doesn't now, in a layman's language, you may think leadership is all about commanding. No, leadership is not about commanding. Leadership is how you are getting the work done from the people, how you are influencing them, how much they listen to you, how much they want to follow you. Now, you have followers who will be trusting you, who will be listening to you, and who will be, as a manager, if you are also a leader, will be abiding by what you are doing. So now there is a leader and there is a follower. Now, when we are saying this, there is a leader, there is a follower, there is a leader. Now, it will be a line management. You have your leader, he may also be your manager, and you have the follower, the person with you. You can call it a subordinate or working with you. Am I clear up to this point? Okay, now, when I told you there is a leader, there is a follower, does it mean then there is inequality? Now, here the question comes, is there inequality? That becomes a question or a subject of debate, that the relationship between a leader and a follower, is it inequality? It says, now another question after this comes up is, does leadership entail entail inequality beforehand that qualifies the leader to lead in the first place? Or, now first question, now when I say that I go back to the slides and I say, thus leadership therefore entail inequality. So that leads to another question. Is that inequality, this inequality is there in the first place itself because an individual is a leader? Or is it this inequality during the relationship between the leader and a follower? Right? So the moment we speak about leadership and followership, the first thing that clicks our mind is, are they equal? Is there inequality? And let me go ahead. Here, the answer lies through analytical hierarchicalism. Here, when we are speaking about this analytical hierarchicalism, it is this approach which somewhere makes you feel, yes, leadership at times is inequality. Let me give you an example. When we speak about, now we are not discussing leadership today. We are discussing leadership since ages, whether they were the ancient times, whether they are the modern times. Every time we have found leaders. in the political scenario, we have always found leaders. Any and everywhere leadership exists. Now, when we speak about here now, when I'm speaking about leadership, yes, inequality exists. Let me tell you, when we speak about leadership in terms of theories or in terms of theoretical aspect, when we speak about the great man theory of leadership, ages old theory of leadership, which says, now great man itself says you have considered an individual a great man. What does that mean? Great man theory says that there are few individuals who have certain characteristics which distinguishes them from a non-leader. Now, the moment I say there is an individual who has the characteristics of an individual who's bound to become a leader, and he is different from the individual who don't possess those characteristics. Inequality, we can say, creeps in, right? And it is here, great man theory has emphasized that leaders are born and they are not made. So moment they are saying leaders are born and not made, that means only few individuals can become, rest all not. The inequality creeps in. And that is what is reflected in this quote. If you see, the leadership approach tends often unconsciously to be elitist. It projects heroic figures against the shadowy background of drab, powerless masses. So this is what the great man theory believed. Everyone cannot be a leader. Even if they wanted to, they cannot be a leader. You should have certain qualities that distinguishes a leader from a non-leader. So here, this is further described in the slide, that if you read the slide, the great man theory, then after the great man theory came the trait theory, where again it emphasizes that leaders have certain traits which distinguishes an individual from a non-leader, right? And it said, they say, what makes those leaders special? What is it that is different from them? So they have certain characteristics, right? Since they have characteristics, they are different from the follower, and that difference means superiority. And the moment that superiority creeps in, yes, it is inequality, right? So here we can say, yes, that when we are speaking about leadership, yes, we are also speaking about inequality. Now, when we further go ahead with analytical hierarchicalism, and we find we are speaking about leadership as charisma, as traits. So the moment we say charisma is in terms of how much you are able to attract the followers in terms of your personality, in terms of you able to persuade the followers or the individual. And that is how the leader becomes different from the follower. Here, it is also saying that transformational leadership can also be included in this phenomena. So now, what is transformational leadership? We have seen, I told you about the great man theory, I told you about the trait theory, but leadership has been evolving with years. Earlier, there were the traits which distinguished a leader from the non-leader. Then that was emphasized through great man theory, through the trait theory. As the time passed, it was found that leaders exhibited certain behaviors that distinguished a leader from a non-leader. And that can be a task-oriented leader, the person who's very much concerned with the task only, or he can be a leader who's concerned with the employees, taking care of the employees. So he is taking care of the employees. That was the behavioral theory. As the time further passed, we had the situational leadership. And what we talk about now are the transformational leaders. Examples: Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg. These are all Steve Jobs. How can we forget that name? They are all the transformational leaders. These are the leaders who bring about the changes in the organization, who bring about innovations in the organization. And when we are speaking of organizations today, it is all about innovation, all about bringing change. So we are speaking about transforming. These are the leaders who transform the organization. They transform from the status quo. They bring about changes. They have a vision in themselves. They have a vision in themselves. When Mark Zuckerberg was told to sell off Facebook, he denied. He said, no, Google wanted it. His employees, his subordinates, they left him saying that you are taking a wrong decision. But he had a vision and he continued with the vision. Now, these are the leaders who have done huge for the organizations and are known for their innovations and efforts that they have put to the organization, where organizations have reached huge heights. But still, we will say transformational leadership is part of analytical hierarchicalism. Now, when we are saying analytical hierarchicalism, we are actually emphasizing on that these a kind of leadership where you are strategizing, you are taking decisions, whatever you are doing, yes, the inequality is existing between the follower and the leader. The transformational leader will bring about huge changes. He will take care of his employees. Charismatic leaders will take care of the employees. But yes, the divide exists, that there is a follower, there is a subordinate, and there is a leader. And this has been going on. It still goes on. We do speak about team leaders. We do speak about team leaders, but recently, if you see, even in a cricket team, we have a leader. He takes care of his employees. The leaders have to give the best to the team, but still he's a leader. The followers have to listen to him. Now, when we are saying this, that there is a leader, there is a follower, there is also a reason for this. Very important is the structure of the organization. You have become a leader, suppose in a workplace, is because you are holding a particular position. You have been assigned a particular job. And since you have been assigned that job, you have become a leader. In an organization structure, which generally you see is a pyramid, where you have the top management, you have the middle management, you have the lower management, you will be assigned a particular position. And based on that position, you will turn out to be a leader or a non-leader or a peer or a follower, so on and so forth. Right? So it is said that, yes, now this inequality, when we are speaking about analytical hierarchicalism between the leader and the follower, one of the reasons is the structure of the organization. Where are you in the organization? Which position you are there in an organization? Webinar is going on. So that becomes important. This brings about, this structure brings about, I would say, inequality. Now, if you read this particular orange color slide, there is one thing written: inequality between the leader and the follower justifies leadership, and leadership in turn justifies unequal treatment between them. Now, inequality between the leader and the follower justifies leadership. Webinar is going on. Please close the door. So now when we are saying inequality between the leader and the follower justifies leadership, what it means? You need to, in an organization, you are required, a leader is required to take decisions, to guide the people to move towards the organizational goals. And it is this individual who will be providing direction to the people. He will be providing direction to the people how they will be moving towards organizational goals. On their own, they may not be able to do it. If it is a big organization, the employees are huge, it will be a complete havoc if they don't have a leader to guide, motivate them towards work. The leader's role is also to keep the employees motivated and to ensure that they are retained in the organization. They will be retained or they will stay in the organization only if they are motivated. And who can bring about this motivation is a leader. And that is why here we say that inequality between the leader and the follower justifies leadership. So here, when we are speaking about inequality, if you see from all this perspective, every time the word inequality has always been taken in a negative perspective, in an adverse perspective. But here, if you see, yes, that inequality plays or leads to a positive energy, right? So first sentence says this: inequality between the leader and the follower justifies leadership, and leadership in turn justifies unequal treatment. And if this leadership, there is a leader because of which leadership is required in the organization to achieve the goals effectively, right? And if that leadership will be there, unequal treatment will be there. Otherwise, organizations will not function effectively. So that is why, if you see, the second block clearly says analytical hierarchicalism claims that inequality in groups and organizations is inevitable. You cannot avoid it. Now, in an organization, you have a leader at the top, you have a middle manager, you have a lower manager, you may be having groups. Each group has a leader. Each group has a leader. So this hierarchicalism claims that inequality in groups and organization is inevitable. You cannot avoid it, and it is necessary. So for smooth functioning of the organization, analytical hierarchicalism, when it claims that inequality is there, it becomes inevitable and necessary for the organization. Now, when we are I have been speaking about analytical hierarchicalism. What is, there is something exactly opposite to analytical hierarchicalism is analytical egalitarianism. When we are speaking about egalitarianism, we are speaking about people being treated equally, equal opportunities being given, whether it is in terms of income, economic equality, whether social equality. We are speaking about egalitarianism. Equality has to be there. But then analytical hierarchicalism says inequality is inevitable and good for the organization. Now, many organizations these days, if you go ahead, when we are, it is said that when analytical egalitarianism we are speaking about, it is saying that everyone has to be treated equally. Now, when it is saying everyone has to be treated equally, that means it is not going by that approach of top-down leadership. So when I'm saying top-down leadership, it means you have the leader at the top, he is giving instructions, he is communicating, and it is percolating down to all the employees. So analytical egalitarianism says no, they don't go by this top-down leadership approach. They believe that this is completely wrong. Although top-down leadership still exists, that means inequality still exists. But analytical egalitarianism says, no, this is wrong. And everyone is supposed to lead these days. These days, most of the organizations says each individual is a leader in himself. Each leader is an individual in himself. So now this is completely opposite to analytical hierarchicalism, and how this is happening in organization these days to reduce inequality. And that is happening how? First, when we are speaking about modern organizations today, we are speaking about leaders like servant leaders. We are speaking about leaders like servant leaders. Now, who are these servant leaders? These are those leaders who exist in an organization to serve their employees, to take care of the employees' needs. Everyone knows, every organization knows that manpower is an asset for the organization, and it has to be treated well. Gone are those days when manpower was a liability. It had to be managed. It was a burden on the organization, and somehow organizations felt we are managing it. But now organizations have realized that it is the only resource which is the active resource in the organization. It is the only resource which can bring together all the resources together. It is the only resource that can take decisions, whether they are sitting at the top or down below in the hierarchy. So now, to reduce this inequality or resistance to inequality is happening through such concepts like emphasizing on servant leadership first. Secondly, women leaders. Now, when we are speaking about women leaders, don't you think that reduces inequality? Don't you think that women are being given opportunities in the organization? We say invisible leaders. So now, when we are saying invisible leaders, we are speaking about those people. We are speaking about inclusion in the organization. We are speaking about those who were never considered to be emphatic leaders in the organization. And today we have women as leaders. These now, when women are there, we all know that women leaders today have broken the glass ceiling. When I'm saying glass ceiling, it means it is an invisible ceiling beyond which a woman is not allowed to rise in an organization, beyond which she will not be expected to take up a role in the organization. We have an excellent example of Kiran Majumdar-Shaw, who's heading Biocon, and how when she had started a career, she wanted her career to be in breweries, but she wasn't given the job because she was a female, and that business was predominantly dominated by men. And how she started her own venture, and look the position that she is holding. She has broken the glass ceiling. And we have other women leaders like Indra Nui of PepsiCo. Of late, recently, if you see a very emerging leader or has emerged, Falguni Nair of Nykaa, Chanda Kochar of ICICI Bank, Indra Nui of PepsiCo. These are all the ladies who have broken the glass ceiling. They have reached the boardroom from the bedrooms, and they are the ones who have tried to remove this inequality. The resistance to inequality, reducing inequality have been done by them. And there are also people who have worked, who have not been, we call them as invisible leaders, whether they are the women leaders or people who are serving the society, irrespective of the fact whether they get the designation as a leader or not. So first is this thing that how they are trying to bridge the gap, or how is this resistance to inequality. It is either through servant leadership, or it is through leaders like women leaders, or the leaders, the invisible leaders, may not be holding great positions in the organization, but are serving the society, the people, so on and so forth. Second thing is the participative management that is reducing inequality. Now, majority of the organizations these days emphasize on the employees to participate in decision making, right? Now, when they are participating in decision making, it can be, so the leadership style here comes what? It is a democratic leadership style, where the leaders are allowing the subordinates to take decisions. They are allowing the subordinates to take decisions. We are not speaking about the autocratic style. We are speaking about the democratic style. We are speaking about the participative style. And if you see the free rein style, or the laissez-faire, or the hands-off leadership that generally you find in many of the public or government enterprises, you find in creative organizations, where you leave decision making to the subordinates. Your subordinates are, you feel, you know that they are able, they are willing, and they will be able to take emphatic decisions. So here comes participative management. So that is also reducing inequality in the, when we are speaking about inequality in terms of leadership. Now, when I took up this topic, I felt why I took up although we are speaking about social inequality, but why particularly I was emphasizing on this, that no one ever feels that leadership is inequality. We always praise the leader. We always see the subordinates happy under him. And there may be one, two who want to be at that position. It may take time. But that inequality is existing and needs to be pondered and discussed upon. And that is why I came out with this. And how we do have ways where we can reduce this inequality. Last but not the least, we have the flattening of hierarchy. Flattening the hierarchy. These days, when we are speaking about the organizations have become flatter structures. You don't have many hierarchies. You have fewer hierarchies. Like here in our educational institution, it is a flat hierarchy. You have the faculty, you have the HODs, you have the deans, and you have the director, only 4. Now, when you are flattening the hierarchy, that means your span of control is wide. Number of people under you increases. Now, when number of people under you increases, what is it? Each and every individual, you will not monitor strictly, you will not command them strictly, you will give them the freedom to work, you will give them the freedom at times to take decisions. Are you not bridging the gap between the leadership and the followership? So this is happening. So the biggest advantage of flattening of hierarchy, which we find in all the creative organizations, in modern organizations, most of them, I will not say all of them, some organizations from flatter structure have also shifted towards taller structure, because they want the employees to move ahead in their careers. And for that, you need a tall structure, you need hierarchies. But many organizations, the concept that is creeping is flattening the hierarchy. So what you need is to flatten the hierarchy, right? Flatten the hierarchy. Is it clear? So when you are flattening this hierarchy, you are giving freedom to the employees, and hence bridging the gap between the leader and the followership. To conclude, I would say that there are people there are the aspects where you will find differences superior to each other in different respect, right? But what is required in organizations is you need leaders, you need to treat them differently, and you need to achieve your organizational goals. So this will happen all the time. This will go on. And it is said that when we are speaking about leadership, although we are trying to bridge the gap, we have the flatter hierarchy, we have the women leaders, we have the invisible leaders, we have the shorter organizational structures, but still you cannot say that inequality will not exist. It is bound to exist, and leadership is a good thing. It cannot be avoided. And this is where I bring my presentation to an end. I did not keep it as a very long presentation because I felt that people will lose interest. And now, any questions, any doubts you all have? Yes. Yes, Amrit, tell me. You have any doubts? Okay, let me check. Okay, there are no questions. Anything else? Anything else? So should I exit now? Okay.
Received.
Mm-hmm.
So you can carry on with your lecture.
Ma'am, Sonali ma'am, now I have whatever I wanted to, I have put it up, but then beyond this, I don't want to further take upon because the crux of the topic I have already shared.
Okay.
And I think the participation is very few are there who will understand. Had it been a group, large crowd, I would have been, I think 45 to 1 hour only goes in question answer session. That is what I was perceiving because the inputs that I had got were
There is, as I told you, there is around 500 members who have joined at the moment, who are waiting to listen to you. So if you have anything
but
further
then when I
to
see the
discuss on this
participants,
topic, you can carry forward.
pardon?
I said, if you have anything further to discuss on the topic, you can carry it forward.
Okay. But then the participation is not motivating, ma'am.
They won't be able to directly question you. They will be, it is being broadcasted. I got a question from one of the participants. which is what a CA can do to reduce inequalities in society. Or you can take it as what a person can do to reduce inequalities in society.
Now, when we are speaking about reducing inequality, if you want to reduce it in a society, first and foremost is how you have to start from your home first. Have you ever treated the people who are serving you as equals? The Indian mindset, the Indian society, you start from your home first. The people who are serving you, are you treating them equals? The day you start treating them equals, you have to come out on a broader platform and make the people understand that first they have to treat people with equality. Not only in terms of treatment, we have to treat them. Economic equality also has to be brought about. Try to provide opportunities to the people. So how can see a chartered accountant now? Suppose if chartered accountant is doing a freelancing. Suppose if I say most of the chartered accountant during the pandemic are doing a freelancing, right? Now, if you're doing a freelancing, start from your organization. You have your employees. How much now, when even if those few employees are there, how much you are including them in decision making? You have a small organization, you have started your freelancing, you have 1-2 people working with you. First bring the change at a small scale. Only then you will be able to think of the society at large. We are speaking about organizations bringing the change in the society. But first and foremost, the organizations have to ensure that their own employees are satisfied and happy working in the organization. Then you can think of the society ahead. Right? So you have to take one by one step. A leader doesn't become a great or a big leader on day one. It is the single step, his way of doing things, that makes him a leader. Now, let me give you my example. I have been serving as HOD or the head of the department since last 7 years. It is my 7th year of headship. Now, I am the head and I have my department with quite a number of faculty members. Although I'm the HOD, I keep the inequality minimum. We work as a team. Decisions will not be taken by me. We sit, we discuss, we brainstorm and problem. How IFIM, where I'm working, how the management has reduced inequalities. Most of the leaders at IFIM are women leaders. That much trust the management has that women can be at par and excellent leaders to their male counterparts. So this I have started, this is happening in our organization. Then how we are doing it in the society? We have our social immersion program. And through that immersion program, we are getting connected with the NGOs. We are getting connected with the people. And let me tell you, our students are doing projects in the NGOs. They teach them, they mix with them, they talk to them, they conduct activities with them. So this one institute, where we had this kind of leadership, where women leaders are there, we are more empathetic with our students to move towards the society and go ahead with removing the disparities, the inequalities. You see our students, how they mix up with the crowd, with the students who are, or with the children who belong to a weaker sections of the society, economically weaker sections of the society, and how we work towards them. We have adopted villages, and we have adopted villages in Kolar, and our students work day and night for the upliftment of the village, to give them recognition in the society. They teach them so that they can be at par with the people who are doing well in the society and to improve their standard of living. Ma'am, another question.
Can you advise our members on, as a responsible citizen, what they can do to reduce inequality in society, especially relating to gender inequality?
Okay. Now, when we are speaking about gender inequality, right? One question I would first like to ask. Many a times, a woman is an enemy of itself, isn't it? We put lots of blame on the men. First, a woman has to ensure that she is giving equal opportunity to her woman counterpart, right? And then she can go ahead with this idea in the society. There are some women who are really doing it. Look at the cooperative society, Lijjat Papar. It is completely a women's organization, and it is working towards removing inequality. It is working towards women empowerment. All the women who are economically weak, they came together. Those 7 to 8 Gujarati women who were doing very bad, who were economically very weak, they came together and they started up a cooperative society that was the Lijjat Papar Cooperative Society. And now you see it has become such a big entity, providing employment to so many women, reducing inequality, and still instilling in them the confidence that they can be leaders, and they are empowering the women financially. Isn't it? Right? So when you are speaking as a woman, first, I will look towards women. I will see that they are empowered. Remember, one woman can improve the life of 10 individuals. She's also the mother, she's also the wife, she's also the sister, and probably she may also be serving the society in some other capacity. So if you see, women have huge power to bring about the changes in the society. Not only where you, not women, when we are speaking, we are, there are also women in the society who have been victims to rape, to sexual harassment, to acid attacks. Do you think there is any inequality when it comes to them? No. How they have struggled. It is our role to allow them, give them opportunities, and to overcome the hurdles in their life which are coming due to their disabilities, which did not happen because it happened because of their deeds. No, it was all because of the society. Right?
There's another question. How can government policy making reduce social inequalities? Can you
Now,
share your views on this?
yes. Now, when we are speaking about government policies, so government has taken number of initiatives. If you see, it's not about government taking initiatives. You would have seen some yojana, some scheme for women in the rural areas. They are existing, and there are number of schemes that are existing for the upliftment of women. These days, if you see the ad on India Today channel, how much the UP is progressing, how much they are sharing, right? They are sharing with the people. Policies exist. What is more important is implementation of those policies effectively. Our own people have to ensure the policies are implemented. Now, if you take the example of Hindustan Unilever, it is a private organization, and how it is working in rural India, though although they have approached rural India as marketers, and how they have approached rural India, how they are improving the standard of the life of the people in rural India. You have the Shaktimans, you have the Shakti women who are not only developing the village, they are also developing themselves. Government frames policies. We should never put blame on the government, that government should make more and more policies. I would never say that. Government has provided funding towards women upliftment. Government has provided funding towards child education. Child education up to the age of 14 years is free. But how many children are educated? Is it really happening? So the problem lies not in formulating policies. The problem lies in implementation of those policies effectively.
So,
And if that is done, inequality is bound to go away. Why do we have so much disparity in terms of income between the rich and the poor? We ourselves are doing it. If we are rich, if we have opportunities, why can't we give it to the poor? Are we giving? Are we sharing our wealth? No. The richer are becoming richer. That 1% of Indian population is becoming richer and richer. The rest, they are becoming poorer and poorer. So I would say government is taking lots of initiatives, policies are being framed. The problem lies in the implementation of the policies.
That is, as per you, the implementation means the individual needs to take part in the implementation. Yes. Everyone is responsible for that. Okay, next question is, at this time when income and wealth dispersion has been increasing in India, what can we do to reduce this gap?
Pardon, can you please?
When there's gap in income and wealth dispersion, what can we do to reduce this gap?
Now this is what we are teaching. In fact, now if you see what we are emphasizing more these days, we are emphasizing on entrepreneurship. We are emphasizing on entrepreneurial ventures. Government is taking initiatives. If you set up a small scale industry in a town or in a rural area, you will get subsidies from the government. Registration of SSI is not mandatory. All right. So what is required is to create that entrepreneurial spirit among the individuals. Let them set up the venture. And when they are setting up the venture, the seed funding, let the rich, the wealthy people take up that responsibility of funding the business. Although we do listen that there are research incubations, individuals in a city like Bangalore, they come out with ideas and the organizations support their ideas. But let me tell you, how many of those ideas have come from rural India, from the rural people? That is what is required. We have to create that entrepreneurial instinct among the rural people in small towns in such a way that they are able to provide employment to others. And that is how the wealth can go on distributing equally. Let each individual, majority of the people come out with the ventures, have their own business in different areas, and let them provide employment to other people. Now, the people, when we are speaking about venture capital, let us encourage them to promote projects in the rural, semi-rural, semi-urban areas and districts, rather than confining themselves to those projects which can be funded by other people too, and are being initiated by people who are financially well off. All right?
So there should be more focus on the
entrepreneurship,
development of rural
areas, semi-urban areas, districts. If these areas are developed, our country will develop. City like Bangalore, you have lots of people flocking to Bangalore. Why is the people migrating from rural to urban India? Is the rural India lacks opportunities and initiatives. Provide initiatives there, provide opportunities there, and people tend to work there. And they will not migrate to the urban areas. Once they are there, the development of that area, of that district will take place, isn't it?
Then there's a question from one lady. She's saying that it is not always possible for a woman to be working at par with male counterparts in an organization, as women have been assigned with other critical roles by Mother Nature itself. So, should not there be reform specifically focused on women that takes care of women's specific challenges?
Now, when you are saying women's specific challenges, don't you think society itself has started providing opportunities? When you are saying that you have to just manage your better half, your family, there are opportunities existing where the others can take care of it and you can go out and work. Now, if you see, the trend has changed dramatically. How? Earlier, when I used to teach management, MBA, the participation of women or the girls in management education was very less. In course of time, now if you see, each and every girl wants to take up a job. And that is not they want to take up the job immediately after completing their graduation. Let me tell you, ma'am, that students who are doing graduation in the first and the second year itself, they end up taking up jobs. Now you find large number of BBA students in our college have started taking up jobs immediately after graduation, and number of them are girls. Okay, now these are girls, they are also the daughters, right? They will also get married. They have to look after the family. If they keep crying that I have to take care of the family, it will not work. Now let me tell you, a lady says, I have family, I have children, but then there are opportunities too. You have the daycare facilities available. Every good organization provides you a daycare facility. When we are speaking about the entrepreneurial ventures, why can't we ensure that lots of daycare facilities are being provided? Commutation, when we say is a problem, why don't we bring up these concepts, take these concepts to rural areas? We have the Yulu bikes here in Bangalore. If that concept also comes in rural India, don't you think it is not possible for women to come out of the confines of their home and work? Secondly, what is required is now many people are working from the confines of the home. They are working from the confines of the home. Pandemic has made many people to work from the confines of their home. What is required is technology to reach people. When we are speaking about e-commerce platforms, when we are speaking about now these days, if you see how ladies are earning, they are making their videos of food subscriptions they are receiving, and they are getting income within the confines of their homes. So in today's life, when you say that women, what suggestions I would give, I say women don't need any suggestion. You are having cell phone, you have technology in your hand, and you can know how best you can make use of the technology that you have at hand. Majority of people these days have cell phones. Cell phones have also percolated to rural India, and that particular technology should be an impetus to them, that whether they are working from home or whether they are working outside, they are becoming financially independent, right? So you cannot say only when you are in the organization you are doing well. These days majority of ladies are sitting at home and earning huge, right? You can go for freelancing. You can do any job only from your home. You start cooking and serving food or providing food to your nearby localities, and see how you end up in big businesses. Most of the ladies know how to cook. These days, what is trending is on the online platforms, people prefer to have homemade food. People prefer to have the cuisine of their particular region, of their particular state. The ladies sitting at home can enjoy this and can earn. They are pursuing their passion of cooking and also earning. So when today a lady says, I cannot come out and work, I think those days are gone by. Technology has changed. Pandemic has changed things dramatically.
Can you discuss something about what kind of problems faced due to economic inequalities? What What
when
problems arise due to economic inequality, change in
we are speaking about economic inequality, that is the crux, the major problem of our country. It is the economic inequality that has led to all other things. I would always say social inequality for most of the reason is because of the economic inequality. You have money, people will start respecting you. So when we are speaking about this economic inequality in our country and how it has impacted the population, when there is economic inequality, when you don't have enough disposable income, when you don't have a proper standard of living, you may not be able to afford proper nutrition for your children. You may not be able to offer education to your children. You may not be able to provide them with health facilities which they may be needing. Isn't it? This is all because of economic inequality. And when that young boy or girl is not physically fit, how would they grow up to become the workforce for in the organization in a particular place and an individual who can generate income for the family, work in the organization, contribute towards GDP? So the main crux is the economic inequality in our country that leads to malnutrition, health problems, lack of education, literacy rate going down, families, these are not going for family planning and preferring to have as many hands as they can to work in fields and to get money. So once they are educated, once they are literate, uh, this can only be possible to the extent where we are able to bring them up economically. And that can only happen not only by the government initiative, it should be the responsibility of every individual to see that the nearby people in their locality are not going economically weak day by day, and how they can think of taking measures to improve the economic condition of the families.
How does social inequality, how can it be a cause to, you can say, destroy democracy? How can it infringe upon a democratic right?
Right. Now, when you're speaking about social inequality, economic inequality also, I would say, leads to social inequality. Because these people are not educated, literacy levels are low. They will go by blind beliefs, they will go by the superstitions, isn't it? And that is where we think in terms of social inequality, the social fabric, the equal social fabric get disturbed in our country. Now, when this social fabric gets disturbed in a country, wrong mindset, lack of education will lead to wrongdoings. And our democracy then can be at stake. When you are into wrongdoings, anything can happen. So what is required is improve the economic health of the country. Let the country develop, provide opportunities to people. That can only help the society at large.
How, like, especially during this pandemic times, can you tell me how this social inequality or economic inequality, how does it affect the healthcare benefits that are available to people, made available to people?
Now see,
Are everyone getting proper?
everyone knows it that during the pandemic, government did take initiatives, but how private hospitals have played with the emotions and feelings of the people. it was because of the weak. How much treatment, tell me, the weaker sections of the society have got? Even if government is providing free vaccinations, even if it is providing free articulate, how many people are ethical enough not to resort to wrong means and provide them honestly to the people? As it is during the pandemic, people had lost their jobs. The country, the globe had come to a standstill. Some people did not have money at all. Not only I'm saying about the weaker sections, even the people who were earning well prior to pandemic were struggling for money. Right? So it is not only the weaker sections, many people suffered this. That is where they could not afford medication, they could not afford hospitalization, a medical facility at the time when they required it, where one bed at times have cost lakhs and 2 lakhs to get one bed in a private hospital. Government hospitals at times did not have doctors. And yes, the pandemic had hugely impacted our country. And it did impact us very much in an adverse way.
So what should be the role of the government in providing healthcare facilities to all, irrespective of their
I would
social or
always
economic
say
standards?
government should frame certain rules, regulations, policies where punitive action should be taken against the people who are preventing these facilities from reaching the common man. Government took lots of initiatives, whether it is providing oxygen cylinders, whether it is providing PP, that PPs and vaccination, RT-PCR. But then the people have to be, that mindset that has to change. Ma'am, I think in 5 to 7 minutes, will we be able to close the session? Because I have my classes commencing from 3:30.
I would like to you to touch on another part of the social inequality, which relates to transgender and whether what are their rights in India.
Now, let me tell you that when we are speaking about LGBT community, this is one concept which now in course of time has been accepted in to some extent has been accepted in our country. People have started accepting it. Transgenders, if you see, there are some organizations who are providing employment to transgenders. The word inclusion that we say in management, we not only mean the women employees, we also include all those people, whether they are there from LGBT community. We have those people with special abilities to be included in the organizations, and lots of awareness and programs are being conducted, actually, if you see, to include them in the organizations, to accept them in the society. And I think this is a very slow process. It will take time, but definitely a day will come when transgenders, LGBT will be a common phenomenon.
So the process has started.
Yes. We do lots of programs.
They will be included in society slowly and equally.
Yes.
So thank you, ma'am. And thank you for giving us your valuable time and discussing in detail the various aspects of inequality in society also, and in economic inequality, in healthcare.
Yeah. Now, when you say social inequality, why I did not touch upon it? Because this is a much discussed topic. I think everyone knows when we are speaking about social economic equality exists, economic inequality, social inequality, they are existing. Government has framed policies and practices. We also know that. We also know the problem lies in the implementation. These are some of the things I already told you earlier. Research has been done every day, maybe new concepts or research are being done on that. but it is one topic where I felt like most of the educated people know about it. Our platform is for those who are well educated. So that is why I touched the management aspect. That is one area of specialization towards which people may not give time, towards which people may not ponder. And yes, we can say that, have we ever thought in terms of leadership leading to inequality at workplace? So that is where I wanted to pull the attention.
Yes, madam. So thank you again. And thanks for giving us your valuable time and sharing with us your thoughts. So thank you, madam.
My
Thank you.
pleasure always. Have a nice day.
Thank you.